close friends.
Nicole entered active duty in the Marine Corps in August 2017. She went through recruit training at Parris Island in South Carolina, School of Infantry East in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Aviation Ascension and Primary and Military Occupational Specialty School in Pensacola, Florida, and Marine Corps Communications and Electronics School in 29 Palms, California. She worked as a ground electronics transmission systems maintainer and was assigned to Combat Logistics Battalion 24. Nicole's military awards and accomplishments include the Purple Heart Medal, Combat Action Ribbon, Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Medal, Afghan Campaign Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Sea Service Deployment Ribbon, NATO Medal, Expert Rifle Qualification 3rd Award, becoming a black belt martial arts instructor, setting weightlifting records at Al-Jabar Air Base, and of course, perfect scores in combat fitness tests. She deployed with the 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit in January 2021. During her deployment, Nicole's stops included Spain, Greece, Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Kuwait. While in Kuwait, Nicole was meritoriously promoted to the rank of sergeant on August 2, 2021. Her last stop was a humanitarian mission in Afghanistan, where she assisted in evacuating more than 100,000 refugees. Nicole was a beloved sister, wife, daughter, aunt, niece, cousin, granddaughter, friend, and a hero to the countless people that she helped. She will always be remembered for her bravery, kindness, love, dedication, and selfless sacrifice in service to her country.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. The Lord has promised good to me, His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, with no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. And we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Every American
knows the image of George Washington crossing the Delaware, the fallen riflemen at Little Round Top, the Marines raising the flag at Iwo Jima. Our history is punctuated with moments of individual heroism and virtue and sacrifice so profound and moving that they live forever in the hearts of our countrymen and in the story of our country. To these iconic images, history has added another, that of a young Marine sergeant in full combat gear, cradling a helpless infant in her arms amidst the unfolding chaos at the besieged Kabul airport and proclaiming, "I love my job." The entire war of Afghanistan is told in that image. The sacrifices borne by young Americans who volunteered to protect their country from international terrorism, the heroism of those who served their country even when their country failed them, the idealism of a generation that tried to bring enlightened modernity to an afflicted society. And most of all, it tells the tale of the stark contrast between good and evil, tyranny and freedom, barbarity and justice, brutality and mercy. Above all others, it is that picture that tells the story, and it's given power and immortality by the spirit of the young woman in that photo, who we come here today to honor, mourn, and eulogize, Marine Sergeant Nicole Gee. Throughout the ages to come, that image will speak of the sacrifice of blood and treasure of 20 years of struggle and of the vision of hope, liberty, justice, and humanity that summoned patriots like Nicole Gee to leave their homes and families and place themselves in harm's way on the other side of the world. As Shakespeare put it, "This story shall the good man teach his son." Historians looking back on this age will find its story summarized in that single image and illustrated in the life and dreams and ultimate sacrifice of Nicole Gee. They will note that her life ended just days after it was taken, at the age of just 23 years. They will remember that this angelic young lady was cut down with 12 of her brothers and sisters by incarnate, insensate evil. And they will ponder where that young life might have led. And that's an important question. The answer is known to so many here today who knew her. She could have done anything she wanted. Married to her high school sweetheart, a 4.1 GPA at Oakland High School, one pretty badass Marine, as her sister put it. She could have done anything she wanted. And what she wanted most to do was to serve her country and to serve humanity. Who else but an angel, a guardian angel, amidst the chaos and violence of those last days in Kabul, could look beyond that into the eyes of a little infant she was protecting and proclaim, "I love my job"? Speaking of the fallen heroes of past wars, James Michener asked the haunting question, where do we get such men? Well, we know. We get such men and women from little towns across America like Roseville, California. They leave their family and friends in pursuit of the highest virtues of which human beings are capable. And they do it because their country asks them and because it is noble. I don't know how to offer condolences to Nicole's family, to her husband, Jared, to her father, Rick, her sister, Misty, to her many family and friends. The loss they bear is beyond my comprehension. I can only offer, on behalf of us all, our awe and gratitude that humanity has within itself a small band of brothers and sisters like Nicole Gee. For without them, America, that last best hope of mankind on this earth, would not be possible. In the Capitol Rotunda is a fresco called The Apotheosis of Washington. It depicts General Washington in uniform ascending to the heavens, flanked by victory and freedom, and surrounded by the essence and fruits of a free nation. And in that depiction, Washington beckons. And from little towns like Roseville, California, decent young men and women with promising futures like Nicole Gee have answered. And I don't know how their families can bear it, but I do know what we owe them. Before her father left the stage last week at the community memorial, he had one request. He pleaded, never forget her. Please never forget her. Well, we can never repay our debt except to honor her memory, keep her sacrifice always in mind, and to draw inspiration from her dedication and devotion to God and country, to she and all of those who gave up everything to proclaim liberty throughout all the land and unto all the inhabitants thereof.
My name is Misty Foco. I am Nicole Gee's older sister. I wanted to start with a poem written for Nicole by a fellow Marine who was deployed in Afghanistan, Corporal Kegels. You were a light in the dark, the one who stood out in every crowd, the one who never lost her smile, the one who made everyone proud. You were doing what you loved the most, no complaints to be made. You said, I love my job. And that was plain as day. You were the one everyone wanted to be, a true Marine's Marine, leaving a lasting impression on every single one of us, the best who could ever be. God needed our strongest, so for his sake, he chose you, and I won't question it because he knew you were the one to take. You were a beast, a badass in fact. We will carry out your legacy. It's an honor to have worked with you. Always remember, never forget, Sergeant Nicole Gee. Nicole was the most amazing person on this planet, and that's just not my opinion. Ask anyone who knew her. She uplifted everyone she was around, and she had been described by many as a bright light because she had always shined brighter than the sun. Although it might have seemed natural, Nicole worked extremely hard to be the person who she was. She taught herself how to embrace inconvenient circumstances and turn even the worst of situations into something positive. She was passionate about being a healthier and better version of herself. Her motivation would rub off on anyone around her, including myself. She brought the best out of anybody she met, whether they wanted her to or not. Her selflessness and willingness to help others drove everything that she did, and that continued into her service in the Marine Corps. She constantly pushed to be more involved with everything she did. From charity events to volunteer work, she was always active in any community she could be. Her favorite idea to talk about was mentoring the next generation of Marines and ensuring that they gave kindness and understanding towards each other. It's an idea that many have had, but few have ever felt called to achieve. I owe it to her to let her light live on through me. I will be brave, selfless, compassionate, self-motivating, influential, and I'll share as much love as I can with every person I meet. I will honor her love for my children by being the best mom I can be, and I will make sure her husband, Jared, always knows he has a sister to go to. My sister might not only be a phone call away anymore, but it will not be forever. I'd like to end with a quote that embodied Nicole's life and purpose. We, the willing, led by the unknowing, are doing the impossible for the ungrateful. We have done so much with so little for so long. We are now qualified to do anything with nothing. Thank you.
I think it's safe to say by now that everyone has heard all the great qualities Nicole had. Since August 26, we've heard it countless times during news reports, at memorials, and in posts and letters and messages sent to the family. And we thank you all for that. What's amazing is that she truly was all of those things. She was kind, compassionate, caring, strong, fearless, a mentor, a warrior, a Marine's Marine, and a true American hero. Since this happened, our family has struggled to know what to say to here today. How do you sum up Nicole's life, 23 years beginning to end, and find the words to express to the world who she was and what she meant to you in 5 minutes or less? From the beginning, Nicole was a perfect baby. She cried little, she slept well, and never complained. As a child, she was the same. She did well in school, she loved to swim, took gymnastics, played softball, she loved to go camping, wakeboarding, and spending time in the kitchen baking. By the time she was a teenager, she was more focused than I'd ever known any teenage kid to be. She had straight A's in every class, played softball, took dance, and started spending more time at the gym. And other than her insane workouts, she was the girl next door. She was smart, focused, humble, and beautiful. But like most families, ours wasn't perfect. There was good times and there was bad times, and Nicole didn't have an easy path. But she faced every obstacle and challenge with grace and dignity, and used those experiences to become stronger and more determined. And she worked hard to be the best version of herself. She had amazing ability to see the best in all of us and became the best of all those qualities she admired. And even with our own flaws, I can't remember a single time she was judgmental or unkind. The scariest thing she ever said to me was, "I want to work out with you, Auntie." And this coming from a girl who complained that she lost 12 pounds going into the Marines and was 5'2", 135 pounds, and could deadlift 280 pounds. That was definitely never going to happen. It was a no-go. She was strong, determined, and she was relentless. We always knew she would do something great with her life. She was smart, beautiful, and driven. But what she wanted to do didn't come into focus until she met and married the love of her life, Jared Gee, and followed him into the Marine Corps. With Jared, she had unconditional love and support, and he was her rock. With the Marines, she found a place to be selfless, honorable, and brave, and to be challenged to be everything she could be. She loved being a Marine. She was proud, and she was badass. When we found out Nicole was deploying, we were nervous, but Nicole was excited for the deployment. She was excited she was going to be able to put her training to use on this humanitarian mission and do something that was really going to make a difference. And we couldn't have been more proud. When she got to Afghanistan, the pictures of her started to surface, and everyone saw the viral picture of a young female Marine holding a baby. And I'd like to give you some context for that captured moment of Nicole and read a letter written by a Marine who was with Nicole in Afghanistan. And it reads, "The story behind our picture with the babies. We were getting ready to end our shift when someone handed us 2 small babies. I remember yours was sleeping peacefully and mine was hysterical. I laughed and looked at you asking, 'How do you do that?' And she smiled and told me, 'Blow softly in the baby's face.' She instantly stopped crying. Ever since that moment, I've used your advice, and it worked on every single baby. You always knew what to do, and I will never forget what you've taught me. Lance Corporal Lohman. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and it's true. That is who Nicole was. She was brave, strong, and compassionate. What the world didn't see is at that time, they were completely surrounded by Taliban, who was fully armed, and the enemy we've been fighting for 20 years. They were in filthy conditions and ate and slept very little as possible because they could hear the desperate screams and pleas of thousands of people surrounding them at all hours, seeking refuge. For these people, it was truly a life and death, and the clock was ticking. But in spite of everything going on around her, Nicole could tune it all out and be handed a baby, smile and calmly blow softly into a baby's face to calm it down. She loved she was making a difference, and she honestly would have given her life for that one single baby. In the 12 days Nicole was in Kabul, she and the 12 others sacrificed their lives, and 18 others were injured, helping to evacuate over 108,000 men, women, and children. More would be saved after. They didn't care about their race, religious beliefs, or socioeconomic status. They did it because that's what we do. This is who we are, and this is what America stands for. 13 came home with flags draped over coffins so that others may live. And that's why we stand for the flag. Nicole loved her life. She loved her family, and she loved her country, and she loved her job. In her last days, she showed us what it truly means to be compassionate, strong, brave, honorable, humble, loving, and selfless. How to be a hero. The world knows her as Sergeant Nicole Gee, a hero who died in Afghanistan, who loved her job. We know her as a wife, a sister, a daughter, aunt, niece, cousin, granddaughter, and a best friend. She was my baby girl. And I don't know how we're going to get through this. But I know that she'll never be forgotten. Till Valhalla, baby girl. I'll see you soon.
Hello, everybody. I'm Richard, and Nicole's father. This is my friend Patty. She's going to speak with me. Go ahead.
I'm offering Rick's words. When Nicole was born, she already had a mind of her own. When the doctor was holding her, she just couldn't hold on. Nicole tried to immediately start to embark on her life by trying to jump out of the doctor's arms. Luckily, she was able to catch Nicole and handed her off to a waiting nurse. The nurse was so flabbergasted that she left with Nicole before she told us whether the baby was a boy or a girl. Another nurse had to run down the hall to find out and let us know. As Nicole entered school, she started to really shine. She was self-driven and motivated to succeed, to be the best she could be. She played softball and danced at Oakmont High School. Nicole, through all her sports and other activities, including a job, maintained a straight A's with a 4.1 GPA. She was definitely determined to be the best. One of our cherished memories, as well as for others, is Nicole's love of sushi. I couldn't even count how many times Nicole would call from school asking her stepmom, Jennifer, to pick her up and head out to her favorite sushi restaurant. Since I don't eat sushi, our favorite pastime would be to go out for coffee, and that we did many times. As her sister Misty came of age and went out on her own, Nicole, at the age of 16, wanted to move in with her sister. Talk about raising your daughter to be independent. With straight A's and living with her sister, how could I say no? Nicole, however, still made sure to check in and be with her family, all the while maintaining her straight A's. One of our cherished family times was our yearly family camping trip. One time, the kids got a hold of the boat and they went out for a spin on the lake. The rest of the family wasn't too thrilled about it, but independence sure has its own way of churning on you. Continuing with Nicole's motivation and self-independence, after she graduated from high school, she suddenly disappeared for a few days. The next thing we heard is that she and Jared had eloped. What a way to find out you have an amazing son-in-law. Jared, you will always be my son-in-law. We love you. A year later, she was sworn into the United States Marine Corps. Nicole was motivated and driven to be the best. She earned the title of honor grad at her boot camp platoon in Oscar Company. It is now that Nicole led a life of self-driven motivation. The Marine Corps took Nicole to places that many of us could only think of. Imagine riding a camel in Saudi Arabia or cruising through Spain. Yes, Nicole lived a full life in her short 23 years. I am proud of Nicole. I am proud of my daughter. There is no greater treasure I can have than in my children. The lump in my throat and the heaviness in my heart is my grief. Grief is something that we shall live with the rest of our lives. It shall become our new normal of life. With that, I am also wearing my grief with pride. Grief means that I have loved. That love shall be with me forever. Remember, a person dies twice. Once when they take their last breath, and finally when they are forgotten. Remember to say her name, Nicole Gee. Until we see each other again, I love you, Nicole. You will always be my Nicurls.
Thank you. Thank you. Never forget.
(2,448). September 11th, 2001, September 18th, 2001, August 26th, 2021, 13. I've heard Sergeant Nicole Gee described as many things since the August 26th cowardice act that took her life, the most common of which is beautiful. And although she was undeniably beautiful, she was so much more than just a pretty face. She was brilliant, she was bold, and she was brave. She was my person, a Marine's Marine. To the core of her existence, she loved anyone and everyone she loved. We always joked about how crazy it was that we were so close. I never would have thought that my best friend would be a valley girl from California who cooked everything she ate in coconut oil, and she never would have thought that her best friend would be a rough around the edges hothead farm girl from the Midwest. But there we were, thousands of miles apart, yet so close together, as we sat next to each other in the NDOT classroom on our first day in 29 Palms, California. Thousands of miles apart, yet so close together. That's the nature of the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps brings you your closest friends, your strongest bonds, people who have an impact on you for the rest of your life. In the 3.5 short years I knew Nicole, she had a bigger impact on me than anyone else I've ever met. She leveled me. She brought me to ground in my darkest moments. She always knew exactly what to say and when to say it. She knew what songs to play when I was feeling down. And she knew that sweet tea, a big hug, and a long cry can make even the worst of times just a little bit better. Nicole and I were babies when the war in Afghanistan began. I was 2 and she was 3. We barely remember 9/11 when it happened, and for nearly 20 years after, as we grew up, we watched as flag-draped caskets prayers went up around the country, and thousands of families mourned the losses of their loved ones as they returned home. 2,448. As of August 17th, 2021, 2,448 U.S. service members lost their lives in Afghanistan. On August 26th, 13 more paid the ultimate sacrifice. 2,461 Americans gone. 2,461 lives given up so others may live freely, so little girls can attend school, speak freely, and leave their homes. So we, as Americans, can feel safe as our head hits the pillow every night. I can't speak for the other 2,460, but I can speak for one when I say that Nicole died doing what she loved. She lost her life so others may live, and without a doubt, she died proud. Proud of who she was, proud of what she was doing, and proud to be a United States Marine. Since the evacuations began on August 14th, the United States has helped evacuate approximately 116,700 people. That's over 116,000 lives saved from oppression, torture, and death. Not only did Nicole walk in the footprints of giants, she was a giant, a legend, and her story will never be forgotten. Although September 11th, 2001 needs no introduction, September 18th, 2001 might. 20 years ago on this very day, the authorization for the use of military force was granted by the U.S. government, and the war in Afghanistan officially began on October 7th. A war that so many Americans would give their lives for, to save the lives of others. Nicole's role in ending a 20-year war will never be forgotten. I have no doubt in my mind that if Nicole was here today, she'd tell us to keep it moving. Pick your heads up, and don't worry about me, because I'm exactly where I need to be. And although her life was cut short much too soon, I know she's living it up there with her mom, my mama and grandpa, and the other 2,460 U.S. service members who died in Afghanistan loving their jobs. Till Valhalla, Sergeant Nicole Gee, you'll always be my best friend and you'll always be my person. Semper Fidelis, I love you forever.
I've been held in your hand from the moment that I wake up until I lay my head. I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. a fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend. I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I'll give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Yes, I will sing of the goodness of God.
What do you say to a person and to her family and to a Marine Corps that she loved and to friends and to a community and to a country that owes somebody a debt of gratitude? What do you say? And what do you say about a person whose the last act of their life was to rescue thousands of people who desperately need rescuing? And I'm Ray Johnston. Michael and I are pastors in this community. I have been here for over 30 years. And I don't know about you, I have never seen the outpouring of love and affection, of admiration for anybody in 30 years that I have seen for Nicole. And I am grateful for that. Would you agree? For one reason, she deserves that outpouring of love and affection. Okay? And when I talked with the family about the message, they said, can you do something? Nicole would want people to have hope. And if you're a pastor, Michael and I are in settings like this all the time. And most people, when something like this happens, their first thought is they want an answer to the question, why? Why would God let this happen? And if you come up to me afterwards and ask me that question, or you ask Michael that question, we're going to look right in the eye and say, we have no idea. Because here's what's going on. If somebody's going to live with hope, it is never found in clarity. It is always found in certainty. And the problem is this: when something like that, people are going, I want clarity. Why would this happen? Why so young? Why this? Why this? And the problem is this: there's all kinds of well-meaning people out there who don't think very well, and some Christians that will tell you all kinds of stupid stuff that isn't true. Oh, maybe the Lord needed her. Well, we need her here, okay? And my experience over a lifetime has been this: certainty is better, because certainty answers the question, is there anything you can count on when you can't count on anything? So all I did was talk with the family for a while and make a list of things I am certain about. And family and friends, I want to start with you. I am certain that Nicole was loved by you, admired by you, supported by you, celebrated by you every single day of her life, and that is a great gift to give somebody. Well done. Also, family and friends, I am certain that you have been surrounded by support from relatives and neighbors and friends that love you for one reason. You deserve that. And to this community and to our country, I've never seen, as I said, I've never seen anything like this outpouring of love and affection. And I believe the reason for that is this. Nicole did something very rare these days. She lived a life of service and honor and sacrifice. Would you agree? That's increasingly rare in our country. She brought honor to our community. She brought honor to her family. She brought honor to her friends. She brought honor to the Marine Corps. She brought honor to our entire nation. And I am certain that her sacrifice and service deserves to be honored and celebrated and remembered. I'm also certain that there are thousands of people rescued and alive today because of her heroic actions on her last day. When we were talking about this, the report came in. We have a lot of connections at Bayside, and including the former U-2 pilot, who's now a pilot, who flew her and other Marines' caskets and bodies out. And he sent me some pictures, said it was an honor to be able to do this for someone. And we got to report one Afghani on the day of the attack, a translator, who got out alive, told someone he was alive because, quote, a young female Marine warned him. In other words, she gave her life so that other people could live their lives. That's the definition of a hero. A rabbi once said this, and this is also in the program Honoring Her Life. A rabbi once said this: people aren't afraid to die. They are afraid to get to the end of their lives and discover they never really lived. I am certain that Nicole laughed so much, loved so well, and lived so boldly that she packed several lifetimes into 23 short years, which is why this quote is in your program from Abraham Lincoln. In the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. Okay? I'm also certain, because of her faith in Jesus Christ, I am certain that God is close to you, because I am certain that the Bible says God is close to the brokenhearted. I'm also certain that when she closed her eyes here for the last time, that was followed by opening her eyes to the sunshine of the love of God forever, because Jesus said these words, and I'm certain he meant them: today you will be with me in paradise. And family and friends, I am certain that the next time she is in your arms, you and she will be more alive than you have ever been, because I am also certain that Jesus meant it when he said this: I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me will live even though they die, and whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? Okay. As a pastor, that's what I'm supposed to say and what I actually believe. And I think there are things in there that give hope. As somebody that understands what Nicole was like among everything else she was. I mean, determined, joyful. She was also unconventional. Okay, I'm going to elope. I'm going to join the Corps. I'm going to throw my life into going and giving my life for. She was unconventional. So I decided to close this message by telling you a story, and this can be a little unconventional. You okay with that? Here we go. Nicole, the only thing, I loved everything about her. The only thing I didn't like was this: she was a Giants fan. And I'm a Dodger fan. Yeah, I know. And and I'm a Dodger fan because I'm a Christian. And there was one giant in the Bible. He died, so it's pretty clear. So she was a baseball fan, she was a Giant fan. So I decided to wrap this up by telling you a story, and there is a massive 2 points to this at the end of it. One of them she is experiencing, the other one she would want me to challenge you with. You all ready? One of my friends in Chicago who lived a long life, told me the most emotional day of his life was his first day playing Little League Baseball. And he said it was just something he'd never experienced. He was 8 years old. He was tiny. He was a little guy. He was uncoordinated. He had nothing this kid was like, he said it was the worst day of my life. He said, because my first day of Little League Baseball, I'm 8 years old. The league's 8 to 10. He goes, I weighed 13 pounds. The uniform hung on me like it was on a coat hanger. And he said, it got worse. Every relative I had, 80 of them, came from all over Iowa to the middle of nowhere, Iowa, this little base, to see my first game. He said, it got worse. He goes, they're all there. It's the last game of the day. And he said, I played right field. Even when you're 8 years old, you know why they stuck you in right field, because you're no good. And he said, and all my relatives now know that. He said, it got worse. I was up 3 times. All 3 times I was up, struck out, struck out, struck out. I was so afraid. I was in tears at the plate, and I never even swung the bat. He said, it got worse. It is the 7th and last inning of that game. Sun setting, and he said, bases are loaded. We're behind by 1 run, and I'm up. He said, I stood there frozen in the on-deck circle, and the coach went, get up there. He said, so I got up there, and he said, the second I looked out at the pitcher, I realized I had no shot at getting a hit because the pitcher was 6'8" and had a beard. At least that's how a 10-year-old looks to an 8-year-old. And he said, I stood there, and I got up there, and he said, all of my relatives got, like, they're not in their seats. He goes, all the opponents' relatives, everybody's up there hanging on the fence screaming for me to get a hit and win the game. And he said, I got up there, and he said, the pitcher wound up and threw a first pitch, and it zipped right by me. And I heard the umpire go, strike 1. Never even saw the pitch. Second pitch came in, guy wound up, threw it again. I didn't even see it, strike 2. He said, I got out of the box, and he said, I thought, if I don't get a hit, my life's over. And he said, then I made a mistake. I looked around, and on this side, there's like 120 adults screaming for me to strike out and lose the game. And on my side, there's 120 adults, and 80 of them are my relatives screaming for me to get a hit, be a hero, and win the game. He said, I thought, I got to get a hit or my life's over. I stepped back in the box, and he said, I started swinging during his windup. The ball came in. I saw it for the first time ever. I swung as hard as I could at this thing and missed. He said the ball hit the catcher's mitt, and I heard him say, strike 3, you're out, game over. And he said, I heard this huge crowd came up from this cheer from their side, and I heard something I will never forget as long as I live. An audible groan came up from my side, and I knew I'd failed, I'd struck out, my life was over, every relative knows I'm a loser, and I thought, it's over. And he said, I began the longest walk of my life, the walk back to first base. And as I'm walking to first base, the other team gathers up like they do, 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? And they all point at me. And he said, I walk in, he goes, and you know how sensitive 9 and 10-year-old boys are? He goes, I get to the dugout, and they're going, you jerk, loser, idiot, geek, nerd. And he goes, I walk by him, and I'm sobbing by the time. He goes, I sit down in the dugout, I put my cap down, I pull the jacket over, and I sob and sob and sob from what must have been 15 minutes. Everybody leaves the dugout. Everybody leaves. He said the sun's setting in this baseball field. He said I could still hear the gravel under the car tires as it was going out. And he said, then it got all quiet. I'm just in the dugout still crying. And he said, then I heard it. A faint voice saying, hey, son, get back up. The game ain't over. And he said, I heard it again. That voice, hey, son, get back up. The game ain't over. And he said, I lifted up my jacket, lifted up my hat, and he said, I heard a little stronger the third time. Hey, son, get back up. The game ain't over. So I looked out, and there on the pitcher's mound was my dad. And this big smile, and he had a mitten ball, and he just kept going, hey, son, get back up. game ain't over. And then he said, then my eyes kind of cleared up a little bit. And he goes, I realized none of my relatives have left. All 80 of them are in the field, okay? Aunt Emma is in left field with that weird hat they wear in Iowa, okay? He said, my blind uncle is trying to find right field. And he said, they're all start cheering. And my dad keeps saying, hey, son, get back up. The game ain't over. I look at home plate. The bat is right where I dropped it. Nobody touched it. He said, I get back up, and the pitcher, my dad, stands up, and he goes, I'm up there, and he goes, all the relatives are cheering, and my dad goes, hey, son, game ain't over. Threw a pitch, swung, missed. That's okay. He said he threw 20 pitches before I hit one. The 20th pitch, every pitch he said, hey, son, get back up, the game ain't over. Finally, the last pitch, number 20, he hit it, and I went, whack, line drive, left field. He said, I go, yes, I hit one. My dad goes, what are you doing? Run. Okay, where's first base? Never been there. Oh, down there. He goes, I run down to first base just in time to see the left fielder throw the ball to center field. He goes, I run to second base just in time to see Todd, the center fielder, who's a good athlete, throw the ball to right field. He goes, as I'm running to third base, he goes, I think I knew they were screwing up on purpose to make sure I got a home run. But he said, at this point, all I know is they've thrown the ball to my blind uncle. I'm going to score. I round third. I come racing into home. I dive across home plate. And he said, I jump up. And he said, I'm now happy for the first time. He said, I'm dusting myself off at home plate. All my relatives are running in. And he said, and then I saw him right behind home plate on one knee, with tears streaming down his face, is my dad. And he's on one knee, so we're the same height. And he holds his arms out wide. And he said, son, you're safe at home. And I threw myself into my dad's arms, and he wrapped his arms around me and just kept telling you, I told you the game wasn't over. I told you the game wasn't over. Nice slide. You're always safe at home. And this guy told me that wreck of a day turned into the best day of my life, because that day all 80 of my relatives carried me off the field cheering as the sun set at that little baseball field in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. Now, why did I tell you that? Because from what I know about Nicole, how she loved and how she lived, and her life of sacrifice and honor. If she could say one thing, and as a representative of family and friends, if she could say one thing to you, she would say to you all, I want you all to live your life. Get back up. Your game isn't over. You're not done yet. Get back up. Grab a bat. Take a swing. Serve. Make a difference. You know what I think she'd say to our country? We've been striking out now for years. This country needs to get back up because its game's not over. She would say that to relatives. She would say that, get back up, the game isn't over. And if you and I give our lives to live a life of sacrifice and service, and we bounce back from this to make a difference, okay, she will have been honored through that action. The second reason I told you that story is this. I believe that Bible says this, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. Technically, if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, you actually can't be dead. You're alive here or you're alive there, okay? And I believe this, the second Nicole closed her eyes for the last time here, she opened her eyes to the sunshine of the love of God forever. And here is what I believe happened in the next moments. She opened her eyes and was staring right into the face of Jesus, who was on one knee, so they were about the same height. Those of you who knew her. And he had his arms wide open and with tears streaming down his eyes, because he's the one that died for her. With tears streaming down his face, he looked at her and he held his arms out wide and said, welcome home, you're safe. And then it wouldn't have been 80 people, millions of people in eternity who knew about her life and sacrifice would have gathered around. And that day, as the sun set in heaven for her first day there, all those millions of people carried her into heaven cheering. Amen. That's what I believe. And to wrap this up, I actually have a bunch of hobbies, okay? Bad golf's one of them. But I collect, as a pastor, I collect famous last words of people. A friend of mine, a guy named Ray, a friend of mine said this: his own dad looked at him and said, "It's like a dream. God's all around me." And then he died. William McKinley, a strong Christian, said, "Nearer, my God, to thee, nearer to thee, it's the Lord's way." Then he looked at his family and said, "Bye all," and was gone. Dwight Moody, a famous pastor, Moody Bible Institute, where he used to live in Chicago, when he was dying, he said to his family in the room, he said, "I see the faces." He'd lost 2 children young in life. He said, "I've seen the faces," okay? And then he said their names. He said, "I see Benny. I see my daughter." And his son next to him said, "Dad, you're dreaming." And he said, "I'm not dreaming. I've been within the gates. I've seen the kids' faces. This is my coronation day. It's glorious." And then he died. John Wesley, just before his 88th year, sat up, looked at all of his loved ones, weeping at his bedside, and said, "The best of all, God is with us. God is all around me right now. Bye, farewell." That was his exit. A few days before his death, F.B. Meyer wrote a very dear friend these words: "I have just heard, to my great surprise, that I only have a few days to live. It may be that before this letter reaches you, I shall have entered the palace. Don't bother to write. I'll meet you in the morning." And a legendary missionary said this: "I go with the gladness of a boy bounding away from school, ready for summer vacation," and then he was gone. That's confidence. That's certainty. That's what you really believe, because the best is always yet to come. As somebody said, who minds the journey when the road ultimately leads home? Let's pray together. Jesus put it this way: today you will be with me in paradise. And Heavenly Father, we bow in reverence before you this morning. We are grateful for Nicole, the way she lived, the way she loved, the way she led. And we will miss her, and that's a permanent condition, but we will not get stuck without hope. And so I pray for her close family, for her close friends, for all that loved her. I pray that you would surround them with your presence, surround them with your promises, surround them with people that will love and help heal them, surround them with your power, and surround them with the promises of God. And we thank you for your love today. Thank you for her sacrifice, because that's the central theme of the Bible, because it reminds us of Jesus' sacrifice. It's in his name we pray. All God's people said, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ray. Well, I'm a Mets fan, so I don't know where that leaves me. We're about to experience Nicole's life in pictures, and we're going to ask that everyone remain seated. I'm told that there may be some movement by our Marines, but if everyone would please remain seated and take the time to experience Nicole's life in pictures.
You're better than the best. I'm lucky just to linger in your light. Cooler than the flip side of my pillow. That's right. Completely unaware. Nothing can compare to where you send me. Lets me know that it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. In the moments when my good times start to fade, you make me smile like the sun. If you're reading this, my mama's sitting there. Looks like I only got a one-way ticket over here. I sure wish I could give you one more kiss. And war was just a game we played when we were kids. Well, I'm laying down my gun, I'm hanging up my boots. I'm up here with God and we're both watching over you. So lay me down in that open field out on the edge of town. And oh my soul, it's where my mom always prayed that it would go. And if you're reading this, I'm already home. If you're reading this, there's gonna come a day when you move on and find someone else, and that's okay. Just remember this, I'm in a better place, where soldiers live in peace and angels sing amazing grace. So lay me down in that open field out on the edge of town. And oh my soul, it's where my mom always prayed that it would go. If you're reading this, if you're reading this, I'm already home.
You almost had me fooled. Told me that I was nothing without you. Oh, but after everything you've done, I can thank you for how strong I have become. 'Cause you brought the flames and you put me through hell. I had to learn how to fight for myself, and we both know all the truth I could tell. I'll just say this as I wish you farewell. I hope you're somewhere praying, praying. I hope your soul is changing, changing. I hope you find your peace, falling on your knees, praying. I'm proud of who I am. No more monsters, I can breathe again. And you said that I was done. Well, you were wrong, and now the best is yet to come. 'Cause I can make it on my own. I don't need you. I found a strength I've never known. I bring thunder, I bring burn. When I'm finished, they won't even know your name. You brought the flames and you put me through hell. I had to learn how to fight for
At this time, the immediate family, those who traveled with them, our Blue and Gold Star liaisons, and some of our Marines will exit for the honors outside. We ask that everyone else will remain seated. Would you please rise? at this time, would you please take a seat? You can remain seated. We will be able to view the honors on the screens, and please remain seated as we begin the honors. Let's pray together. Father, I thank you for today. We thank you as we honor, remember, and celebrate Marine Sergeant Nicole Gee. Not only her wonderful life, but her great service to our great nation. We thank you that she is safe at home. God, we also thank you that we will never forget her, and we will continue on in her honor and in her memory. Be with us now, in Jesus' mighty name. And everyone said, amen. As you are dismissed, as you leave today, we have a gift for you at every single exit. If you'd like more information on the hope that Pastor Ray talked about, we've got a free gift for you, his book there about hope. God bless, and God bless America. You are dismissed.
You're not really gone as long as I believe. There will be another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight. Always made my troubles feel so small, and you were always there to catch me when I'd fall. In a world where heroes come and go, well, God just took the only one I know. So I'll hold you as close as I can, longing for the day when I see your face again. But until then, God must need another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight. Singing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm just jealous of the angel around the throne tonight.
Why did she have to go so young? I just don't know why. Things happen half the time, without reason, without rhyme. Lovely, sweet young woman, daughter, wife, and mother, makes no sense to me. I just have to believe she flew up to heaven on the wings of angels, by the clouds and stars, and past where no one sees. And she walks with Jesus and her loved ones waiting, and I know she's smiling, saying, don't worry about me. Loved ones she left behind, just trying to survive and understand the why, feeling so lost inside. Anger shot straight at God, then asking for his love, empty with disbelief, just hoping that maybe she flew up to heaven on the wings of angels, by the clouds and stars, and past where no one sees. And she walks with Jesus and her loved ones waiting, and I know she's smiling, saying, don't worry about me. It's hard to say goodbye, her picture in